Welcome back. We all want to learn things quickly, get right to the heart of the matter, but wading through tons of info, it can be, well, a bit much sometimes.
Totally. That's why we're here, right? We've taken these really interesting real-life stories and basically boiled them down to the bits that actually matter, stuff you can use.
Exactly. And today, we're digging into a great source. It's a YouTube transcript from the English pod community. The host there, Blake, he shares all these personal anecdotes about using English day to day.
Yeah, it's not academic theory. It's like, here's what happened when I had a job interview, or when travel went wrong, or I met someone new. Super practical stuff.
That's the goal today. We want to unpack those moments. How did English actually work in those situations? What can we all learn from it?
Okay, let's jump right in. The first scenario Blake lays out is a job interview.
Right, the classic job interview. So Blake's there, feeling okay, and then bam, the question, what's the biggest challenge you faced at work?
Uh-huh. The kind of question where you can't just give a canned answer. You got to think on your feet.
Yeah, and fast.
So his response was quite strategic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He didn't just pick anything. He talked about managing this project really tight deadline.
Small team, loads of pressure.
Exactly. High stakes.
And he didn't just say it was hard. He explained how he handled it, organizing tasks, making sure communication was super clear.
That everyone knew exactly what they needed to do. Breaking it down.
Right. And he points out what he actually learned from it, valuable stuff about managing time and, real teamwork.
Which ties back nicely because, think about it, how often do you need to explain what you did, not just the challenge, but your solution in English?
All the time in professional settings, being able to nail that explanation, that's a huge advantage.
Definitely. Okay, so from the interview pressure cooker to something totally different. Travel chaos.
Oh yeah, the dreaded missed flight. Blake and his wife traveling in Europe and suddenly, oops, plane's gone.
And now they've got this big chunk of time, hours, just stuck at the airport. Not ideal.
Could easily get frustrating.
But instead, they decided, okay, let's wander around, see what's here. And they found this little cafe.
And here's the interesting bit. They start chatting with the barista.
Who's from a completely different country, right? No shared first language.
Nope. But they connected anyway, just using English.
It's such a good example of English acting as that bridge language, a lingua franca.
It really shows communication isn't just about perfect grammar, is it? It's about confidence, clarity.
Just getting your point across. And English lets you do that almost anywhere. Unexpected connections.
Okay, so from unexpected travel stuff to another kind of stressful situation, a big international business conference. Blake mentions feeling, a bit jittery.
Understandable. Speaking English to a room full of professionals for maybe the first time, that's nerve-wracking.
Definitely. So there's this session, it's about team management, and a question pops into his head.
But then comes the hesitation, right? That little voice saying, what if I mess up? What if I sound stupid?
We've all been there. That fear can really hold you back sometimes.
It really can. But he decided, okay, focus on being clear, be confident.
And he just asked the question, something like, how do you handle team conflicts? Especially when people disagree on, how to tackle a project.
Good question, too. Very practical.
And it paid off. He got some really useful insights back from the speaker.
And maybe just as importantly, he felt that boost, okay, I did it. I can do this. More confidence using English professionally.
It's a reminder that sometimes just taking that leap, asking the question, is the biggest step. It opens doors.
Definitely. Okay, let's switch gears again. A much more low-key scenario now. Meeting a new neighbor.
Yeah. Just chatting with someone new who's moved in nearby. Blake strikes up a conversation with this neighbor who's from another country.
And it's interesting how quickly they found common ground, isn't it? Even with different backgrounds.
Yeah, they talked about the neighborhood, settling in, maybe some cultural differences.
And then they landed on gardening, growing herbs specifically.
Just a simple everyday chat. But it sparked a connection, potentially a new friendship.
It shows you don't need some big formal topic. Just sharing little bits of your life, your hobbies. In English, that's how you build bridges in informal settings, too.
Makes sense. All right, next up. A dilemma many people face. Fixing the old car versus splashing out on a new one.
The classic cost-benefit analysis.
And Blake mentions how English wasn't just for talking to someone else here, but for their own decision-making process.
Right. He and his wife actually sat down and talked it through, the pros, the cons, the money side of things. All in English.
And they figured out repairing the old one made more sense financially for them at that time.
The takeaway there is pretty interesting, I think. Using English to hash out options, weigh things up, it actually sharpens your own thinking and how you explain your reasoning.
Yeah, it's a tool for clarifying your own thoughts, too. Okay, back to travel, but this one's more stressful. Losing your wallet abroad.
Oof. Yeah, that's a panic-inducing moment for sure. Unfamiliar place, no ID, no money.
Total nightmare. But what stood out here was how English helped sort it out.
A stranger stepped in, right? Someone who happened to speak English.
Yeah, offered help, gave directions, and even called a nearby shop to see if they'd found it. Just really helpful.
And luckily, it worked out. He got the wallet back.
Phew. It really hammers home how important it is to stay calm, if you can, and just clearly ask for help in English when you're in a tight spot somewhere unfamiliar.
Absolutely. That clarity can make all the difference.
You know, all these stories show English in action in so many different ways. But maybe we can dig a bit deeper now into the communication itself, beyond just the words.
Yeah, good idea. Like Blake's story about dealing with that really frustrated customer on the phone.
Oh boy. We've all been on one end of that call or the other, haven't we? Clients upset, talking fast, not happy with how things are going.
And the challenge isn't just understanding the English words, is it? It's reading the emotion, the frustration, and responding to that.
Exactly. And Blake's approach was key. He stayed calm, really listened, and used empathetic language, stuff
Like, I understand your frustration, and I'm really sorry this happened. Let's look at this together and figure out how to fix it.
yeah, that kind of thing. It validates their feelings, doesn't it? Shows you on their side trying to solve it.
Totally. And then he followed up with a clear email, laying out the next steps, using both spoken and written English effectively.
The big insight there, I think, is that how you communicate listening, showing empathy, is just as important as what you say. It builds trust.
Definitely. It's about the whole interaction.
Speaking of tricky interactions,
Yeah.
the next story is super relatable. The stress of moving house, Blake moving with his wife.
Oh, yeah. Moving is definitely up there on the stress scale. Packing, movers, deadlines.
And they hit a point of tension, right? Different ideas about how fast things should happen versus how organized it needed to be.
Common stuff when you're under pressure together.
So they actually had to consciously pause, take a breath, and talk it out calmly. Blake apparently said something like,
I get you wanted organized, but I'm feeling really overwhelmed. Can we find a balance? Something like that.
exactly, expressing his feeling, overwhelmed, but also acknowledging her point, wanted organized. That's the good communication.
And presumably, she responded in kind, sharing her view, and through that open chat in English, they found a way forward.
It just shows, even in close relationships, clear, respectful English, even when things are tense or you disagree, is how you build understanding and find solutions.
Absolutely crucial skill.
Okay, another kind of problem solving next. Arriving at a hotel for work, need to print something important.
And the business center is closed? Arc.
Right. Minor annoyance, but could be a real problem if you've got a meeting looming.
Easy to get annoyed.
But instead of getting frustrated at the staff, he just calmly explained his situation in English. Like, look, I understand it's closed, but I really need to print these docs for tomorrow. Is there anywhere else nearby?
Polite, clear, stating the need and the reason.
And it worked. The staff pointed him to a local print shop. Problem solved.
Simple example, but it shows how just clearly asking for what you need in English helps navigate those little everyday hurdles.
Okay, let's dive into some more scenarios now, really looking at problem solving and connecting with people. Blake talks about a really hectic product launch.
Product launches. Always fun. Sounds like there were communication issues between different departments.
Yeah, classic problem. Different teams, different priorities, meeting going nowhere, basically stuck.
Been there. How do you get things moving again?
Well, Blake stepped in and asked this really focused question, something like, okay, everyone, hang on. What's the one thing we absolutely have to get done today to keep this project moving forward?
Cutting through the noise. Focusing on the immediate priority. Smart.
And apparently it worked. Everyone refocused, they agreed on the next steps, divided up the tasks, meeting saved, project back on track.
It's a great example of how clear, targeted communication in English, especially when things are chaotic, isn't just about talking. It's about managing the situation, steering it.
Really powerful. Okay, let's jet off again, this time Italy. Getting lost in a small town.
The joys of travel. Map confusing, you don't speak Italian. What do you do?
Fall back on English, usually. And that's what Blake did. He went up to a local and asked, excuse me, we're looking for this cafe. Pointed at the map, maybe. But we're a bit lost. Can you help?
Just a simple, polite request.
And thankfully, the person understood, gave them directions in simple English, got them where they needed to go.
It just reinforces how often English is that common ground for travelers, making the whole experience smoother and, frankly, more possible sometimes.
Absolutely. Now, a much more serious travel issue, realizing your passport is gone at the airport.
Whoa, okay, yeah, that's heart in your throat time, panic stations.
Totally. But the key here, again, was trying to stay calm and communicate clearly. Blake went straight to the information desk.
And just laid it out.
Yeah, basically, I think I've lost my passport. Not sure where. Can you help me? Clear, direct, stating the problem.
Because he was clear, the staff could actually help effectively.
Hmm.
And they found it.
Yeah, thankfully it turned up in Lost and Found. Huge relief.
Wow. It just shows, in those really high-stress moments, clear English isn't just helpful, it's potentially crucial for getting things sorted quickly.
No kidding. Okay, let's bring it back to more everyday stuff. Helping a friend move and the eternal struggle. Parking.
Ugh, parking. Especially when you're trying to unload stuff. No spots near the friend's place.
So instead of just circling endlessly, Blake spotted a parking attendant.
And just asked.
Yep. Excuse me, trying to park nearby, no spots anywhere, any suggestions? Something straightforward like that.
And the attendant knew a spot.
Pointed them to a free spot just around the corner. Saved them who knows how much hassle.
It's the little things, isn't it? Clear, respectful English solving small, daily problems.
Totally. Now, what about clarifying complex ideas? Blake mentions a workshop conversation with someone from Japan.
Ah, okay. So two people, neither speaking their first language, trying to discuss potentially complicated stuff.
Exactly. And they were kind of struggling, maybe misunderstanding each other a bit.
Happens easily. So what do?
They consciously tried to use more descriptive English, giving examples, maybe even sketching things out, using visuals, just finding different ways to explain.
Ah, getting creative with the language to bridge the gap.
Yeah, and it worked. They understood each other better, had a more productive chat. It shows English can be flexible. You can use it in different ways to make complex things simpler.
That's a really useful insight.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the business world. Giving a presentation to international colleagues.
Blake mentions feeling nervous again, first time presenting in English to a big, diverse group.
That pressure is real.
But preparation was key, right? Writing down the main points, practicing the delivery.
Yeah, doing the groundwork.
So when the time came, he focused on just being clear, being concise, and he even handled a tricky follow-up question confidently.
Someone asked about the data.
Yeah, like, can you explain how these numbers connect to the overall trends? And he could. He explained it clearly.
That's vital, isn't it? Not just delivering the info, but being able to discuss it, answer questions confidently. Clear English is essential there.
Absolutely. Okay, one last specific story. Negotiation. Buying a watch somewhere abroad.
Ooh. Okay, this is about making sure you get a fair deal, right? Using English to get information.
Exactly. He saw this watch. Price seemed okay, but he wanted to be sure. Is it real? What's the warranty?
So he asked direct questions.
Yep. Excuse me, interested in the watch? Is it genuine? Can you tell me about the features, the warranty? Getting the facts in English.
Smart. And did he haggle?
He did. Asked something like, is this the best price or is there maybe a discount? Used English to negotiate.
Nice. It shows how knowing the right questions to ask in English really empowers you as a consumer, helps you make informed choices.
Definitely. You know, these specific stories cover so much ground, but Blake also touched on loads of other general situations too.
Yeah, like just asking for directions, which we saw with the Italy story. Simple, but so useful.
Or, more seriously, dealing with emergencies. Being able to clearly say, I need help, or describe symptoms in English could be critical.
And the workplace, obviously. We saw the interview, the presentation, the product launch.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Social stuff too, right? Like meeting people at a party who speak different languages. English is often that common link.
Travel, of course.
Yeah.
Getting a taxi, ordering food. Basic English makes it all so much smoother.
And those spontaneous chats, like the barista or maybe someone in a park. Customer service too, explaining a problem with something you bought requires clear English.
Giving presentations, whether it's work or study, shopping, asking for a different size, checking stock. It's everywhere.
It really is just woven into the fabric of so many things we do now.
It truly is a bridge, isn't it? Connecting people, opening doors personally, professionally, while traveling.
Think about online information. So much of it is in English. Collaborating internationally for work or research usually happens in English.
Career prospects. Definitely boosted by strong English skills in today's world.
Education, too. Top universities, online courses, often in English. Travel becomes easier, more rewarding.
Even entertainment books, movies, podcasts like this one. So much is accessible through English.
Yeah, and understanding global news, joining global conversations, it all connects back.
Plus just writing clearly, emails, reports, even personal messages. It's fundamental.
It really boils down to English being this incredibly versatile tool for, well, for connection, for growth, for just navigating the modern world.
Couldn't agree more.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, the main thing that jumps out from all these stories is just how practical and useful English is. It's not just grammar rules in a book.
Not at all. It's about solving problems, building relationships, handling unexpected stuff, making decisions, all with more confidence.
We really hope hearing these examples gets you thinking about your own experiences using English. Maybe times that went well, or times where perhaps clearer communication could have changed things.
Yeah, reflecting on that can be really valuable.
And maybe here's something to mull over. Think about one situation you might face today, just one, where communicating a bit more clearly in English could make a positive difference.
Hmm. And then maybe think about how you'd handle that situation tomorrow, keeping some of these ideas in mind. A little food